Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the show, everybody, and good vibrations to all of you. Thank you for coming. Welcome to an all new Nomad Live. Hey, we got a good show for you guys. You know why? Because tonight we have one of my favorite people to bring onto the show by far. My man Herb Howard is here in the background waiting. And I know, and you guys know he always brings it when he comes to the show. Great note taker, great eye for what's going on in that field, man. He's got a great eye for football. And so I've always considered him more than a reporter because I respect his football acumen quite a bit, man. So I do enjoy I literally enjoy talking to Herb whenever he comes on the show, man, because there's a lot of respect. Even though we've never met each other, I can just tell how much he really loves the game and how much he pays attention to detail. So it's always fun whenever he comes on the show, man. So I just want to say that ahead of time. Before we get into the show, let me bring in co-host we have for tonight. Our new guy, our newest member of the Nomad Live team, man. Got some Canada love right here with my man Matt Kedro. How you doing, kids?
I'm doing fantastic, folks. What's going on? How you feeling, Nomad? Gonna be a good show tonight.
That's right, man. Good show, man. Good to have you here. Glad to have you on the team once again, man. Let's rock this thing tonight. Let's bring in our other co-host, my man Triple R, man. How we feeling tonight?
Feeling good, staying hydrated, enjoying the sweating though. How you doing? Bear down, everybody. Let's go.
All right. I know we all got a bunch of questions that we want to ask. We don't want to run him off the show, man. So let's just take it easy with my man Herb. He's got plenty he's gonna tell us all on his own, but man, hey, be easy with him because I got a lot I want to ask him myself, man. So without further ado, one of my favorite people to bring onto the show from the Bigs Media, my man, Herb Howard, man. Herb, how you doing, man? Herb, Herb's on a delay, I think. Can you hear us, Herb? Uh-oh.
I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Herb. All right, say something. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like me pop on screen. But what's going
Before
on?
we, it's getting a little bit of feedback there, a little static. Say something, Herb.
Yeah. Check 1, 2,
What's
her.
going on? Y'all good?
Yeah.
Let me
Samo.
Mic check. You got me? 1, 2.
keep talking, Herb. I think you sounding better. The more you talk.
All right. It's all good. I'm happy to be hanging out, man. It was a good day out down at camp in Lake Forest. A lot of stuff in the notepad to unpack. A lot of overreactions to be had, to be made. We see what it all means, but definitely ready to chop up with y'all. So y'all let me know how it's sounding and, whenever y'all ready.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Like
of
it's a
static, but
delay.
it's a little bit of delay. Just try popping out, and we'll pop you back in.
All right, cool.
All right.
The technology is beautiful when it works, but when it don't, it's so frustrating. Because the questions are starting to roll in on the chat. They're on YouTube. Speaking of, you can like, subscribe, share. It's Nomad Live. So do that for all of the social media platforms that we're on. And on Sunday nights, and yes, you heard it here earlier first if you were here live, a special Nomad at Night, Friday night edition. Oh, suck it now. So make sure you are in the place for that because we let our hair down and get a little more blue if and when necessary all the time. So yeah, make sure you're in the place to be for that on the late night edition after your shorties have gone to bed because they don't be needing to hear all that. So do your liking, subscribing, sharing, hitting those notifications when necessary. And if you have any other questions, you can email nomadlivepod2023 at gmail.com.
And don't forget the afternoon show. We're doing the afternoon show after every practice. We will give you at least updates of what we know and what we've heard so far. So don't forget that. So you're getting 2 shows like you did today. You get 2 shows tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you got your notifications set. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It helps. Waiting on Herb to get back in the stream. Let's just talk amongst fellas, man. How we feeling about what we've seen so far?
Feeling good, brother. I just want to give some love to the chat, and not necessarily the normal love. Chat folks, man. Chat posse, chat family. Give some love to Herb Howard. Throw some questions and all that you might want us to pose to good old Herb as we go through and get him back up and running here. And we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties, but in my personal experience, if it wasn't for technical difficulties, I'd be a really, really poor man. Not to say that I'm rich, I'm freaking broke. But long story short, I would be a much broker man if it wasn't for busted technology, because I've been working in the tech field for the longest time. And yeah, we'll see what happens with her. What are y'all thinking on the Bears? We do anything big today? Anybody catch any big stuff today?
I'm looking at a comment that Joseph Matuzak said. He says he thinks the defensive end narrative is going to be squashed by the current roster. We're going to see. We're going to see here real soon. I think Herb just popped back into the studio. Let's see if he's got his camera ready, because I don't see him yet. Oh, there we go. There we go. How's it now? Can you hear us, Herb?
Yeah, I can hear y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I think there's still a delay.
Yeah.
Are you getting a delay? Yeah, there's definitely a delay.
Yeah, it's definitely a delay. Let's just try.
Herb, hey, wait, fellas. Herb, are you hardwired or are you on Wi-Fi?
He froze up. He can't hear you.
No, he's not froze.
No, not
He's
frozen.
just
He can't hear
delayed.
you though.
Just
Can
let
y'all hear
Chris
me now?
open.
Y'all can hear
Yeah,
me?
we can hear you. Can you hear us? Give us a
I can
thumbs
hear
up
y'all.
if you can
Yeah,
hear
y'all
us.
can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Sounds like you're on a delay though. Are you hardwired or on Wi-Fi? Herb?
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you not hear us?
Yeah,
Apparently
I can hear y'all.
See, he's got a crazy
Long
delay.
delay.
Herb,
Yeah,
do me a
it's like
favor
5
and
seconds.
just turn your video off. Try going audio only. Just stop your cam.
See, that's like a 5, 6
Just
second
heard that.
delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's glitching out. I wonder if he's on Wi-Fi or if he's.
Herb, try turning your camera off.
There we go.
Not talk.
Man, that didn't help.
Can y'all hear me now?
Joseph.
Yeah, we can hear you, but can you hear us? What's the delay?
Yeah, I can hear y'all. I don't know.
See, you see how long the delay is?
Yeah.
The delay's a little.
I can definitely
Shortened
hear
up
y'all.
a little bit.
Herb, are you on Wi-Fi?
So it's a delay. I don't know. When I was backstage right before we went live, I could hear y'all just fine.
Everything was rocking just perfect back there.
I got a super strong
I
signal.
think it's working. It's fine now. It's fine right now. Keep
I don't know
talking.
what's going on.
No.
I was
Keep
talking to y'all just fine right before we went live.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Are you on Wi-Fi
I'm
or
trying to
are you
figure out if I
wired
can see
down?
what's going on my end. No, I'm on Wi-Fi.
Can you
I
any way you can hard?
got a strong signal. I got a very strong signal on Wi-Fi. Anyway, I can
Any
do
chance-
what now?
Any way
chance
you can
plug in?
yeah, any chance you can plug in hardwire?
No, actually,
I need to reset.
I don't believe so. No.
Well,
box.
actually, no, time out.
I'll
hold on.
I'll jump back on
Let them work this out, man. All right, how about this, man? Any chance you can reset your router and then come back in?
Sorry, Jesse James.
Yeah, I shut it down and come back in.
This turned into tech
All right,
support line.
Let's try that. Just reset your router and we'll bring you back in when you
And I'll have to send you another link to her. Did you get the one in Twitter? And he's out. All right.
Yeah, he's resetting.
All right.
We'll give him a couple minutes, let him do his thing.
All right. Sorry about all that, people. Hey, things like this happen when you're doing stuff via Zoom, via freaking StreamYard. This kind of thing happens, man. And sorry for the disruptions, man. But we can continue the conversation. Samo wasn't here with us earlier today, but it was a lot of things going on in practice today that I just kept having my head turned by, and the couple of guys that I was constantly hearing about all day long was Bayless and Tyler Scott, man. I don't know if you heard any of that stuff. What did you hear?
All day. Both
I
of
heard a
those
little bit about
guys.
Bayless today too.
Both of those guys, man. I heard that Tyler Scott's speed is a problem right now in practice, man. He's out there, giving the defense a few fits, with his speed and ability. Then in his press conference, that was interesting to me about him not fully grasping the entire offense right now, as far as understanding the motions and where to hit in his landmarks. Jesse kind of joked about it and saying that, yeah, he thinks he's in the right position, but he's really not. He's hit, but he's going 100%. He's making mistakes, but he's making them 100% or 100 miles per hour, I guess. That was good to hear, though, and Jesse admittedly said that, we're just going to, focus on what he does well, which is what we've been talking about a lot, and allow the rookies to, digest the offense and get better in the offense. And, for right now, focus on what he does well, and whatever is his wheelhouse, which is, his speed. Take on over that and using that as a weapon until he develops.
So what do you guys think, man? What you guys hear on Twitter, man? I'm seeing a whole lot of stuff for it.
Man, I saw the video replay of that. It looked like a wheel route, or for some reason, Scott was going out to the boundary, so the cornerback had to turn and chase him. And Scott was just running so fast, so effortlessly, and you could see the DB like putting, elbows to his butt, and he just didn't seem like he was catching up to him at all. And it looked like Scott was powering down just to, gently catch the ball. And, that would have been a beautiful touchdown. And so the possibilities and the explosiveness, very exciting, very exciting. That goes, across the board.
What about
I don't know. There's a question from Dante. Who was it? I think it was number 36, whoever that is.
Michael
26.
I'm
watching the clip right now.
It was Michael Ojemudia.
Was it 26 or 36?
26.
26. Samo, 26.
I want to say it was Ojemudia.
Yeah, the kid's fast. He's smooth too.
Mm-hmm.
That's some my fault, kids. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the hands look decent too so far, but don't want to talk too much about that. I'm kind of interested in the Velas chat, man. I haven't seen anything, but I'm interested. I want to hear good things, and so far there's a little bit that popped today. He's got the right size, got the right amount of speed. I would love to see him pop, but we'll get there, guys. I
heard a lot about Bayless today, man. I think I heard people raving about Bayless, man, and how he looks like a totally different player this year. From yesterday, he made a couple plays, but today I saw Twitter go crazy about Bayless, man, saying that he was making plays all over the field, especially early on in practice, and that's at receiver. And that he's also, looking well as far as returning punts. Like he's fielding the punts well this year. I mean, it's different probably in the live game situation, but I'm sure they have guys running at him while they're punting the ball. But they say Bayless is out there getting it in, man. So which will make our wide receiver room very interesting, man, with all the speed that we have, man. We have DJ Moore. Now we have these 2 tight end sets, man. I heard so much today, man. I heard that, Gessie is splitting out wide, running backs out wide, splitting tight ends out wide. There's just so much, man, that's going on in this offense, man. It's just got me so excited.
Hey, I got one word for you in regard to Valus, and this is based
What
on
the hell?
everything.
Sorry.
Hey, turn up. You good over there, man?
I'm straight, man. I'm straight. We good.
We don't want to see no violence on TV.
Not today. Not today,
Killing us,
man.
man.
Could have been worse. Trust me. Been one of them weeks, guys. Anyhow.
Hey, in regards to Valus, man, based on everything I heard so far in terms of the players talking about him, Getsy talking about him, and just what I've heard overall, I got one word for you, Sam. 3 syllables. Confidence.
Yes.
That dude's confidence is
What it sounds
going up
like.
another level. Why? It's because he knows what the hell he's doing now. As
Mhm.
opposed, if you saw, and Herb just popped into the screen, we need to check him out. But yeah, we can talk about Valus all day. How's it going, Herb?
Y'all tell me. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sound
all-
better.
Hold on, it's all good. It's still a delay, man, but we can try to work through that. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I can hear y'all. I can see that it took me a minute to pop up on the screen, though.
All right. How about this, Herb? Let me ask you a question. What was, just before we get into any individual player, what's your thoughts about the feel of the camp? I mean, the whole feel. I mean, energy wise, does it feel different than what you become accustomed to being a reporter, or is it? I think from the distance, it looks different to me. Feels different to me from a distance. What say you?
I think, early on, it's always this kind of, super optimism. Everybody's talking about, how good they can be, how much work they put in the off season. Everybody reports to camp, best shape of their lives, all these types of things. And I think you hear a lot of that, same kind of rhetoric. But I think the difference is that they have actual elite level talent at some spots on the field. Whereas in years past, that hasn't always been the case. You've been hopeful and optimistic for some guys that were unproven. Now you've got proven guys on both sides of the ball at key positions, and that feels different. As far as some of the other things, I think that's kind of the energy and the hoopla and the rhetoric. I think that's kind of typical. But when you look at them and see that they actually got, some elite level guys, the Tremaine Edmonds, the DJ Moore, those type of guys on the field, that's what makes it a little different than it has been.
And so, you know what? That I'm glad you went there, because I was listening to Eddie doing his press conference, and that's kind of the part I circled. Was he feels different about it because we have some. He said we have key pieces now that we didn't have before, and so with those key pieces being said, I know you said what was it, DJ Tremaine, but I'm seeing them in a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
You got Claypool, you got TJ Edwards right next to Tremaine, you got Eddie back there, you got, to me, a nice 4-headed running back machine you got going on back there, which I really like. I've been on record saying, I think with some solid old line play, I don't see any reason why we couldn't put up 21 points in the half. I mean, right now we're early, they're still in shorts, but you can gauge a lot from shorts when it comes to offensive play, receivers, but not offensive line. Am I off when I say that? Do you see a potential for them to be able to put up 21 points in a half?
Yeah, I think they have that kind of potential. I think they have some big play guys. You look at what Darnell Mooney, DJ Moore are able to bring. Justin Fields himself actually able to take the distance at the moment. So I think they have that kind of big play ability, and they should be able to run the ball. They have the running backs. They should be able to kind of play, some ball control, off feints. You should be able to see some 7-8 minute drives, those types of things from them. And so, yeah, I think they got that kind of capability. It's going to be about being on time, being in rhythm, staying away from things that kill drives. Those missed incompletions, those types of things, the time on the routes and the throws, penalties, those types of things that kill drives. They can stay away from those things. I think they have the potential to be an explosive offense, but that's going to be dependent on everybody, number one, being healthy, right? So you got to make sure that Darnell Mooney's on the field with DJ Moore, that Chase Claypool was on the field, both of those two guys, and that Chase Claypool is producing at the level the Bears hope he can produce at. I think he's got all the physical tools. I was looking at him today, man. You just look at him, and he looks like he should be dominating. He looks like a guy you want to throw the ball to. He's huge, he's big, he's fast. Like, he's got everything that you want, and you just want that to be able to come together. If you can get all three of those top receivers on the field, 15, 16, hopefully 17 games, then this offense has the potential to really surprise some people in this league.
I got one more question for our fellas, and I'm gonna turn them over to you guys, man. You can ask them what you want, but I feel like and I just lost my train of thought because somebody just came into the room. But you guys go ahead and ask Herb a question. Let me get.
I know the feeling.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me go ahead, and something that a couple guys are asking and girls asking in the chat. I don't know specifics to ask you about it, so Herb, please break down everything that you have seen and heard offensive line, starting wise and depth wise.
I think, they're in a much better position in terms of the starters. You came into camp last year, and it was in flux. You didn't know left to right who was going to be where or who was going to be starting. They had just signed Riley Reef off the street. Michael Schofield had come in. You still had Braxton Jones trying to figure out the left side and trying to figure out what you're going to do on the right side. So center position was in flux as well. So last year you had no idea. This year they're in a much better position simply by the fact that they know who the projected 5 starters are. Left to right, you understand there's going to be, Braxton Jones going to play next to Tevin Jenkins. He's going to play next to Cody Whitehair, Nate Davis, and then Darnell Wright. So you have the 5 guys. Now, can you get them? How quickly can they develop that continuity? Because you got the 5 guys, but you got all but 4 of them playing in new spots, right? I mean, I know Nate Davis played right guard, in Tennessee, but I'm saying on this team you got 4 new guys in positions. Cody Whitehair has played center here before, but not very recently. So other than Braxton Jones, you still got to kind of develop that chemistry with the guy next to you. And he's playing next to Tevin Jenkins, who wasn't at left guard last year. So they got to develop that chemistry. But again, they are miles ahead of where they were last year in terms of the starting 5, just by knowing who those guys are. If they can stay healthy and get, the majority of the reps throughout training camp in the preseason, they should be ready to go come week 1. As far as the depth, you're going to look inside and you're going to look at, Lucas Patrick first in terms of that swing guy inside that can play center, can play guard for you. Jatari Carter is another guy that's going to factor into the conversation. And then you look on the outside, and I guess you got to start with Larry Borum in terms of, who may have the upper hand in terms of swing tackles. I also forgot about Doug Kramer, who was the kid they got from Illinois last year, who was injured last year. Maybe he'll factor into some of the interior conversation as well. But then Alex Leatherwood is a very interesting case. This is a kid who won the Outland Trophy, best lineman in college at Alabama, comes out. He's a first-round pick. You see the kid. He's big. He looks the part as well. You think that he should be able to be a starting offensive lineman in this league. For whatever reason, didn't work out for him with the Raiders, and it hasn't really come together for him here with the Bears. That being said, I got to believe the kid hasn't forgotten how to play football. And so, if it can come together for him, he may factor into this thing as well. Now, taking inside to guard, that's been some conversation. I haven't seen that early on just yet. So we'll see how that continues to develop with him. But if he can become a factor, then you start to really talk about, some depth. Larry Borum, we know he's had his struggles, but he's also got a lot of stars under his belt in this league. Same thing with Lucas Patrick. So you talk about taking, 8 linemen into a game, and if you got Lucas Patrick and Larry Borum, you should be able to get through a game if you have some injuries. So I think they're in a much better spot than they were last year. You got to see if they can stay healthy and how quickly they can develop the chemistry that they need.
Samo.
Nice, Herb. I don't know if they gave you flowers, man. I'm big on that, bro. And I just want to say that we appreciate you and everything you do, bro. Man, you are by far my favorite on the beat. The way that you preference your questions and set up the question, man, to the follow-up question for the follow-up question, man. It seems like you just get really insightful answers from players and coaches alike, man. And it's an art, man. And I think you killing it, dog. I just have to say that.
I receive that, brother,
yeah.
and I truly appreciate it.
For sure, for sure. You and Courtney, man, by far my favorites. I listen to you whenever we're listening to that press conference. I'm trying to see what you guys are going to ask these guys that are sitting up there at the podium. But
Shout out to
for
Crow,
me,
she be killing it.
yeah, for sure. For me, I just want to know, man, like who or what stood out to you in as a positive or a negative, as something that hasn't been talked about enough. Maybe it could be anything from coaching to players, or just the camaraderie. I think that the offense right now is surprisingly sounding like they're doing well, but other than that, we don't hear a lot about players that we didn't expect to hear about. So is there anything there?
Yeah, I think there's some intriguing guys on this roster, and if they can come together and you develop quickly. You look at a guy like Tyler Scott. I think he had a pretty good day today. Now, it's interesting when you talk about these guys, especially some of these young guys having a pretty good day. I say he had a pretty good day. He made 2 nice catches deep down the sideline. Once in a one-on-one drill, just showed his purity to be able to get behind the corner. Good natural soft hands on the catch, and he did it again in 11-on-11 in team drills. And so you look like he has a good day. And he talked to Coach Getsy, which we had the opportunity to do after practice today. And Coach Getsy acknowledged that he does those things. He's like, but we just trying to keep everything in his wheelhouse. We don't want to overload him too much. And he went on to explain that when you have these kids that are coming from programs who don't do much, and specifically talking about Tyler Scott, he's like, that Cincinnati offense don't move much. He was like, we move a lot. And when Tyler Scott moves, he tends to get out of position a little bit. He's not lining up exactly where he's supposed to be. He's not perfect with his landmarks. And so I guess he was harping on some of those things. But again, that's a guy who factor into the depth conversation. And, if Chase Claypool isn't what you want, or if Tyler Scott just continues to ascend and continues to stack days, he could be a guy that can factor into what the Bears want to do in some packages and some deep plays, some deep threat ability. So that's one of the guys talk about being intriguing. There's been a lot of talk about Tyreek Stevenson, but when you look at him, he is just a key piece of what the Bears want to do. Right? If he is who they hope he is, then that secondary could be really good. Kyler Gordon, I think people are sleeping on him right now. You talk about stuff that's not being talked about a lot. And I know a lot of people were down on Kyler Gordon last year. I know he started out slow, but I thought he continued to get better and progress as the season went along. And by the end of the season, he was looking very comfortable. He was getting his hands on the football. And I think that kind of minimizing his responsibilities, where he's not switching from outside to inside every other play, and just letting him focus on that nickel spot is going to be great for him. He's got that cat-like quickness. He's got great hips. He's got that quick twitch ability. He's physical. He likes to come in and hit. And I think he's got good hits. And I think he is going to thrive when he's only focusing at the nickel position. I think you're going to be able to bring him off the edge on some blitzes. He's going to factor into the run game when he needs to. He's a guy that's going to get his hands on the football. So I think that Kyler Gordon is definitely a key piece that people aren't really talking a whole lot about right now.
Hold on, kids. I know you got a question for him, but I just got to say this, man, really quick, man. I don't think y'all know how lucky we are. Herb is a damn national. He's a damn national treasure when it comes to reporting.
Yes.
I can't wait to see how far Herb ascends in this business, man. He is something else when it comes to these details. I just had to throw that in there, kids. My bad.
You know what? And because you did, I'm going to take things in a different direction. I was going to ask you specifically about Fields' timing. I was also going to harp in on what you think of the defensive end situation right now. Like, what does that look like? But we'll get to that. Herb, how did you get to where you're at? How did you become the guy on the beat? Like, I know you got a story.
It's a little bit unorthodox path to this position, but just a lot of time, a lot of dedication, man. I've loved this game for as long as I can remember. I've studied this game for as long as I can remember, and I've been a Bears fan equally as long. So just kind of growing up with the game and then developing that passion for it, I wanted to cover my team, right? And so I would always just kind of do it on my own and do YouTubes or whatever it was. And when I met Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin, who founded the Bigs. Shout out to them. We would talk organically about sports, and then during the pandemic season, um, they were doing their sports show at the same studio that I was doing a separate podcast that had nothing to do with sports. But we would just talk about sports all the time, and so during the pandemic season, we decided to do a game day, a show we call Game Day, the Kickoff Kickback, or something like that, that we would just do before all the games on Sunday. And we would just go through all the games, talk about the Bears. At the end of that season, they kind of asked me if, would I be interested in coming on with the Bigs and covering the Bears. And I was like, man, look, don't even say nothing like that to me. That's not, a real, proposition. So they was like, nah, for real. And I just threw it in the back of my mind because I ain't want to let myself get to that space. And then, sometime before camp in 21, they came, it's like, yo, all your credentials and everything, came to the Bears, sent everything over, you good to rock. And so just kind of hit the ground running, man. The first day I got there to Hallis Hall, it was kind of surreal, just, coming through the gates and all of that, checking in at the guard, at the security house or whatever, and them having my name and all that. Just walking in, not really knowing what nothing was at. Like, damn, where are you? Where am I supposed to go? You know what I'm saying? But then once you got past that part and just got out on the practice field, then it was just football. It's kind of like that nervousness you got, like run out the tunnel. But then once the ball go up, it's just ball. And that's kind of how this was as well. And ever since then, I never looked back with it, man. I just I love the game. I know the game, and I ask questions that I would like to know. And I do it in a respectful way, but I do it in a fearless way as well. Like, I'm not trying to demean anybody, not trying to degrade none of these guys. All of these guys are world-class athletes. Every single dude out there on that field today, all 90 of them, are really, 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 really good at football. But it's levels to it in the National Football League. You talk about winning the Super Bowl, you need those elite level guys. And so, I just approach it with that mentality, showing them respect that they deserve for reaching the heights they've reached in this game, but also with the clear understanding and knowledge of what I'm looking at. And I think I speak the language. And so I think that as much as anything, when they hear me speak it, they know that I know what I'm looking at. And then, I think it just kind of lends itself to a more natural conversation that allows for legitimate, answers and responses. And plus, being in NFL media room is probably one of the only spaces in America, or one of few spaces in America, where being a young black dude is beneficial. You know what I mean? It's not many of us in there. And
sorry, man, but that's pretty cool.
And just
Facts,
having that relatability, having that relatability and speaking the same language and understanding each other on different things just kind of lends itself to a more authentic relationship than just player reporter. That's mostly what it is. I'm not saying we're friends, nothing like that, but it just allows a more authentic interaction than you otherwise may hear.
I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because it is very authentic, and they definitely feel you on a different level. You can see that. You can see that as they respond to your questions. I can look at their faces and the body language and just their expressions, and I know they feel you on a different level. And it doesn't have anything, culturally. When we don't got to go there, man, but we understand exactly what you're saying. However, man, you did put your boy Herb on the spot today. You put Khalil on the spot today, man. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get into that, man.
Yeah.
I just think that Khalil was in a bit of a conundrum where I think, with the national story about running backs and how they're being devalued around the league, I think that, Khalil's almost in a lose-lose situation, or maybe a win-lose-lose situation. I don't know how to call it, but it's a double-edged sword for him. Whereas, he is the poster child for why these teams don't value running backs, right? And so it's almost a situation where the better that he performs on the field, the less likely he is to get a long-term contract, which is kind of wild, right, when you think about it. But you look at Khalil Herbert, he led the league in yards per carry last year. He's ascended to the top of the depth chart on his own team. We'll see how the Bears go about that. But right now, he's at the top of that depth chart, having led the league in yards per carry last year. and he's also a 6th-round pick. And so if I'm a team that doesn't want to pay running backs, I just point to Khalil Herbert. Like, see, that's why we don't pay out. We'll just draft Khalil Herbert in the 6th round. He'll lead the league in yards per carry. So I was just telling him that, you know, he was getting a lot of questions about, you know, that national story of devaluing running backs. And I was like, bro, it's kind of your fault. Like, you kind of are the reason why this exists. And so I think he had to have a laugh about it himself, because it's an interesting, it's an ironic truth.
I've been going out of my way trying to talk to Robert Griffin, the third, man. He's one of these days I'm gonna get him on the show, man. But he rides all day, every day on that subject, man. And I know I understand the principle and where it's coming from, man. I feel a certain way about it as a football player. When you see, you know, these guys in the locker room are your brothers, man. I mean, really, they feel like your brothers. And when you see guys in your locker room not getting what they think they deserve and not happy, and you know everybody's just like, dang, dog. You know, it's like, what can you do? It's like what you can do is try to posse together as a group of people. That's how you get it done. You posse together as a group of running backs around the league. Ask the CBA to step in. Ask for an arbiter, and then that's where you start. But it doesn't seem fair to me. And I'm talking as a football player. I'm not a Bears fan right now. I'm talking as a football player. It does seem quite unfair to me the way that position is devalued, just because I know how much it takes for those guys to put what they put on the field, and how much of a risk it takes for them to put what they put on the field. You know, those guys put it all on the line like everybody else, but it's multiplied because they're the ones, and the linebackers are the ones that are taking the most punishment.
I really wonder, like, what was Khalil's answer to all that? Because I never really thought about it that way. He must have been.
He didn't. He didn't know how to answer that one. Yeah, he didn't know how to answer that.
He's him and Tony Pollard's probably another good example of it out there, of a late round guy who's now getting paid big money, even though it's still less than what they were paying Zeke over in Dallas. Very similar situation, but yeah. He wants to get paid at some point, I'm sure. It's a bit of a conundrum to really think about.
Yeah, I don't want to get too carried away with this conversation, because I got a bunch of stuff I want to ask her, and I want to make sure he gets his time to answer, because he's got notes. And by the way, talking about notes, man, I saw something on social media today, Herb. Man, what the hell is this, man?
That's
what is this?
That's about a half
what doctor is that?
Herb, what is this?
Listen,
man,
this
is like a Scrabble.
It's 95 degrees. You standing up in 95 degrees, just trying to write it as quickly as you can and keep one eye on the next play. So that's just what it looks like, man. That's just, you know, that's my own little quick form shorthand that I can go back to. All that makes perfect sense to me. You know what I'm saying? All that looks great to me.
We got something in common, man. Chicken scratch rules as far as
taking notes quick.
The shorthand. You gotta write it quick, man. No time for penmanship.
No time for penmanship.
Put that out there. I started dying, man, because I used to feel bad about my penmanship, but boy, oh boy, man, that was rough. That looked like Scrabble in a salad bowl, boy. That's rough.
Better rock that Google Keep, man. Google Keep, bang that thing out, say them notes.
Well, let's ask you this, Herb. In those notes, being that this is the second year of of this offense and this defense, this regime, have you noticed the speed of the practice or the intensity, or just the understanding of getting in and getting out of drills? Any difference between this season and last?
I think you can see that from Justin more than anybody. I think what you see from him is that he's developed into a bit of a coach on the field, right? He understands this offense, and he's able to answer the questions that his teammates have in great detail. And talking to Luke Getz today, he said it's good to be in a place where he can have in-depth conversations with Justin. He was also talking about Darnell Mooney, but just having in-depth conversations with these guys more so. He said last year it was just about, do you know what this word means? Can you understand this terminology? Now they get into a spot where they can have conversations about what the reaction should be and what the counters could look like. And I think that's kind of getting to that next level. You got 100 level, trying to get to 200 level, and then 300, and so on and so forth. But I definitely think that you can see that mostly from Justin, but also from some guys like Darnell Mooney who were in it last year. And I think you got to get those other guys up to speed. DJ Moore's a veteran; he understands offenses, but he wasn't in this offense, or even that is a little bit of an adjustment. Chase Claypool got over here a little late last year. He's still kind of going through that. Tyler Scott being a rookie, all those types of things. But I do think you see with some guys like Velus Jones who, just have a little bit better understanding. They're getting into the right spots. And so certainly for the guys who were here, all last year, you can definitely tell. And I think, mostly and most importantly, you see it from Justin.
Nice.
Hey, Herb, let me ask you this question. Two questions, man. I think, did you see Justin getting that ball out of his hand? Because what I heard was he was getting that ball out of his hands quickly. He was dumping that thing off and spraying that ball around to multiple places. That's part one of that question. But part two, I just want to know what it looks like when you're looking at that first person, how much of a presence and a difference that those linebackers make behind that defensive line. I just want to know how much of a difference from last year you saw out there.
Well, I'll answer the second part first. It's not even comparing them to last year, just comparing them to themselves. It's great to see, right? I mean, Tremaine Edmonds is a huge man. Like, he walks in the room, he's huge. He stands on the field next to other big dudes, he's still huge. And he's just an imposing presence in the middle of that defense. He's also very, very smart, and he communicates nonstop to the rest of the guys on the field. And getting guys lined up, giving guys checks. I mean, last second checks where you might see the D line shift at the very last second. I think having Tremaine and TJ, who's also very, very smart, very, very instinctive, having those guys behind them and in the middle of that field is going to pay dividends for everybody. We talk about what the defensive line lacks, and I think they could use a little bit more talent in that group. But I think that the linebackers behind them are going to help. And I asked TJ Edwards that today, just about him coming over from Philly, having played behind one of the best D lines in the league. What did he learn from playing behind those guys that he can kind of impart upon these guys, kind of help them with that learning curve, whether you talk about the two young D tackles or any of the other guys? And so I think definitely those two linebackers are imposing in the middle of the field. And I think physically and mentally, they're gonna help this defense. Getting back to Justin and the ball coming out quick, there's still some times where it's pat. It's most frustrating to me when it happens in 7-on-7. You shouldn't have sacks, so to speak, in 7-on-7. You should open field. 7-on-7 is designed for quarterbacks and wide receivers to shine, right? That being said, I still think that there are times where you do see the ball in his hands too long, and I think when you hear he's holding on to the ball too long, the easiest thing to do is just on him because he's holding the ball too long. And some of this is fault. I'm not absolving him, but it's other things involved. It's other guys involved. Guys got to get open as well, right? Guys got to be in the right spot. And so that's kind of what you talk about. You hear what Luke Gessie had to say earlier about Tyler Scott and getting to the exact spot and the exact landmark. Again, Justin is at a point now knows exactly where guys supposed to be on the field. And if he hits his third step, fifth step, seventh step, and that's not where you are, then it kind of throws off his rhythm, right? The feet are connected to the eyes, and then you end up kind of pat, and it's a little bit frustrating when you see that you want the ball to come out. Sometimes you do see it come out. Sometimes you do see it at the top of it, drop one hitch, ball out, and those look beautiful, right? He's accurate with those, on time, puts in the place where the receiver can catch and run. But I wouldn't say that I've seen it getting to the point where it's like, oh, that ball is just coming out every time. It's not quite there yet. That's not to say that it won't get there over the course of the summer, but not yet.
One thing that you just said that stuck out to me, something that Gessie said as well earlier in the press conference, was that, Justin's footwork should lead him through the progression and lead him to the check down. And that doesn't seem to be happening. And I'm wondering, is it a result of guys not being in position or where they're supposed to be and him waiting to see if they're going to get open? Or is it him, waiting to see this guy might get open? He's not there yet, but I'm going to give him a negative second or a millisecond, and then he's going on, and then by the time he moves on from this guy, I'm wondering if it has something to do with that. as well. Because if your footwork, like you said, 7-on-7 is supposed to be like footwork, bat. I'm hitting my footwork. I'm hitting the open man as soon as I see him as I go through my progressions. So I'm wondering, like, is it just Justin holding on to the ball, or is it guys who are his wide receivers just not hitting their landmarks in time when he gets through the progressions?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think that as he's dropping back and reading it, his feet should tell him, okay, if I got a 5-step drop and I'm at step 3, my eye should be here. If I don't look good, my eye should be here by the time I'm at step 5, and then the ball should go to go. I think it's a combination of those things. It's him too. Again, I'm not saying that it's not him, but there's just other things involved, and I think that some people, critics of Justin, want to just say that's just on him, and it's on him. But it's also some other things that factor into that situation. I think that you got to look at the totality of the picture to get, to be, super clear about what's going on. I will say that if I were, Luke Getsy, and again, nothing but respect for all the players and coaches, you won a 32-0 season in the National Football League. You know more ball than me, but I think that I would try to just get to a space where just, maybe one period out of practice, if it's 7-on-7 or whatever, then you just go, okay, if the play calls for a 7-step drop, if the play calls for a 5-step drop, we're going 5-step drop, hitch, whistle, period. 5-step drop, hitch, whistle. Right. And the ball, if the ball is not out, the play's dead. I don't care what happens after that, right? Yep. 5-step drop, hitch, ball is out, whistle either way. And so I think that just kind of getting to that space will kind of just reinforce that internal clock for him and say, okay, boom, 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 get the ball out. You also got to understand that, when you have these elite, rare athletes at quarterback, their habits, their mind just tells them, if this shit don't look good, I run past. You know what I mean? It just, and I think that also keeps the ball in your hand a little bit. And so, again, that's just something that I would think that I would try. Maybe a little bit of an elementary, high school, college type thing to try, but I think that it may be effective.
Hey, fellas, I know everybody's got questions.
Hold on, man. Before he gets off this topic, I just want to ask about snaps. How are the snaps looking right now? Who's taking them? And I know Cody had a little bit of trouble with the snaps at some point back in the day, and then he cleared it up. And then he moved completely out of center. With him back, what do you think? Is that potentially affecting Justin's ability to get the ball off quickly right now?
Hey, Nomad, can you pull that notepad back up or not?
Hey, Chris, can you pull that up?
Say it's up there, huh?
Go ahead.
You see, where are we at? You see right under. You see where it says 30 stripped and fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fourth line, it says 30 stripped. And right under that, it says low snap from 65 threw off rhythm for 1. Right, you got a low snap from Cody Whitehair and it threw Justin's rhythm off. Those types of things matter too, right? You get a low snap. Number 1, you got to reach down there and pick it up, and it throws your feet off. We just talked about your feet being tied to your eyes and all that being tied to the timing. The second thing it does is not only does it mess with your feet, but it takes your eyes off of the progression and off of the defense. So now you got to mess up your feet, get your feet back set, get your eyes back up, and then kind of restart this thing. And the rhythm is already thrown off, right? And so, that's one thing. I'm not going to say that that's the main thing. I'm not saying that happened on, most of the snaps, but it did happen. I think like those are the types of things when I'm talking about the potential for this offense, talking about being able to, can they be an offense that can score 21 and a half? That's the type of stuff that kills you from scoring 21 and a half. That's the type of stuff that's a drive killer, right? You got the ball moving, you get somewhere in between those 40s and you're trying to, get in scoring position. And then you have a play like that kind of, now you back behind the chains. And, those are the things that they got to be able to avoid. You got to clean those things up because they're drive killers. And so, Cody's got to work on that. Justin's got to work on that. Everybody's got to work on that. But that's a great question because it happened today, and I made a note of it.
Not only that, the ball comes in different, and you have to rotate the ball to get your fingers on the laces. So if you do look up and you see a guy open and your hand's not in position, then it's too late then that by the time your hands are in position on the laces and it's too late, now you got to go to your next progression. So you're right. That's concerning to me.
So that's exactly what I saw on when we were watching the clip for the pass to DJ Moore from 2 days ago. Snap comes in and it's a little shaky and he has to get it right before he gets the ball. He still got it off pretty quickly. It was about 4 seconds in my timing, but yeah, he's got to work on, like, those guys have to get that rhythm and get together on those snaps. I think that'll take a little bit of time, but I wanted to see if that might be affecting it. Sorry, Nomad, I know you were transitioning there, man. So go.
No, it's all good. That's a good question, actually, and a really good note right there, man. I love that kind of detail. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's why we asked Herb Howard to come on the show because of that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm talking about, details. Me and Herb need to do a show called Details for the late great Kobe Bryant, man. That's what I'm talking about. But hey, look, man, I know we all have a bunch of questions for him. I still have a bunch of questions for him, but that man has to get up early and go to Hallis Hall. I want to see if we can get to some of these. Herb, you good with some of these chat questions because they're piling up for you, man. I just want you to know
let's
that.
do it. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, Nick.
That's what we're here for. Let's do it.
All right. Let me see. Ask Herb what he thinks of Tyler Scott and Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, I think they're two intriguing rookies. I'll start with Tyreek Stevenson because I think he's the most important in terms of what this defense wants to do. They drafted him, second round. Obviously, he looks the part. The dude is big. He's got long arms. I think he could probably scratch his knees standing up straight. He's got real long arms. He's aggressive. He's physical. I think when the pads come on, you're gonna see him sticking his nose in there. He wants to be around the ball. He's aggressive. I do think, over the course of the season, he gonna get burned a couple times. Just sticking his hand in the cookie jar a little bit. I think some veteran quarterbacks will be able to take advantage of him kind of peeking in the backfield and trying to jump on some things. He may get beat with a couple of moves, but he doesn't look intimidated. He's real confident. He's out there having fun. He's relaxed. He's loose. And again, if he is who the Bears hope he is, then this secondary could be really, really good. I think good everywhere else. I've always liked Jalen Johnson. I still do. The contract situation will be whatever it is, but I still like Jalen Johnson as a number one corner in this league. Eddie Jackson was having a phenomenal year last year before he got hurt. He's already talking about having an all-time safety season now. I absolutely love Jaquan Brisker. He's the kind that's going to develop into a perennial Pro Bowl type player. I love everything about Jaquan Brisker, and I already spoke on what I think about moving Kyler inside. So the only piece will be Tyreek Stevenson, and if he is, what he looks to be, then that back end could be pretty scary. Now you go over to Tyler Scott. The speed is real, right? A lot of times you get these young guys in he's fast, he ran this, he ran that, and it's track speed, right? It doesn't really translate onto the grass always, but you can feel his speed on the grass. You can see it. He's got a different gear than some of the other guys on the field, and then he's able to catch the ball. He's got real soft hands. He's natural. He's got good eyes, and he's got good feet. He caught a ball down the sideline today, able to catch the ball over his shoulder, tap his feet before he went out of bounds, and it happened to be right in front of Ryan Post and Ian Cunningham. That he's got the ability. Now, how quickly can he adjust to the NFL game? He's not a big kid either. He's small. Right? He's small, and I think that he could struggle when some of these bigger, stronger corners get their hands on him. Even Tyreek Stevenson, when they've gone, one against each other or just matched up in team drills, when Tyreek gets his hands on him, that route is done. And so, he's got to get a little bit more functional strength. I think that there are things the Bears should be able to do to kind of scheme him free in terms of getting some clean releases. But I do think that he's got some tools that you have to like. So I think he could be an intriguing prospect right now, just as depth and maybe some packages for him throughout the week. But he could develop certainly into a guy that could become a really, really productive receiver for you.
Hey, before we get to the next question, I want to add to that conversation he's having about Tyreek Stevenson. This might seem like this might sound crazy to you guys, but I wouldn't say it if I didn't see the confidence in Tyreek Stevenson. people that are high in levels of confidence, they can take licks, they can take L's, they can take those bumps, they can take those bruises, they can take those. He's all over social media getting whooped all over the field, but that's good for him. That might sound strange to you guys, but coming from a DB, I'm telling you, it's gonna pay dividends. Number one, number two, the fact that he had Peanut out there. I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah, Peanut out there
He was out there.
correct him on the fly and can tweak him and get stuff right there in real time, and that stuff pays dividends. I just Herb, you can respond to that if you want to.
Yeah, no, he's a real confident kid, but like I said, I do think he may get burned a couple times just getting in the backfield or biting on some double moves. But I guarantee you, by the time he gets to the sideline, after he get beat on 4 touchdown or whatever, he gonna be forgot about it. Like that dude gonna okay, next one, and he gonna jump the next one too though. Like be clear, like
Right.
he don't care. Like he
Exactly.
believes that the ball is his when it's in the air, and he's trying to jump it. So he's got to play with a little bit more discipline in terms of some of that, especially with his eyes. But again, you gotta like his confidence and his competitive spirit.
Man, that is dynamite, man. Hey, give me another question, man, because we can talk about that all day. Because that Tyreek, he's right on point, man. Okay, Cornelius Squall says my first question. Herb asked Getsy during the press conference about a player and I didn't hear who he was. I don't know who he's talking about.
From the press conference today.
I only asked Getsy as far as a player. I only asked him about Tyler Scott. So that when I asked him that question, it was about Tyler Scott. And like I was saying earlier, he likes what he brings. He talked about how Tyler Scott attacks, each day and attacks, his job every day. And he's tough. He did say, like I said earlier, that he's got some learning to do. Come from a college program that didn't move in terms of shifting receivers around. So, I think that he's got a little bit of a learning curve to make up for. Again, he has some skills and some gifts that you can't really coach. I will say this though, and Tyler was talking about this himself. He went to Cincinnati, and so did Sauce Gardner, and they had another corner.
Kobe Bryant.
Had another corner.
Kobe Bryant
that got drafted.
Kobe Bryant.
So exactly. And so, he was talking about going up against those guys every day in practice and how that prepared him, to be ready when the games came. And so he's not a stranger to going up against, other elite talent. So, again, he's got that competitive spirit and he's got some speed and some wiggle to him too. So I think, whatever learning curve he needs to, adjust to, I think he will.
Okay, we got another question for you. Herb, are they running RPOs in practice? The offense will be dynamic, but I hope it's not too complicated. What'd that look like?
Are they running RPOs in practice? The offense will be dynamic, but I hope it's not too complicated. You can't really know right now, right? So I think like right now, what you're seeing, you might see him stick it in there and pull it out, but I don't know if that was a true RPO or like I don't know that he truly made that decision in that moment. I think right now they're just trying to make sure guys understand their basic assignments. Now I think that they should, have a fair amount of RPOs in there just because of their ability to run the ball, different running backs that they have, Justin's ability to run the ball. I think that him having the ability to stick the ball in there, pull it out either for a keep or for a pop pass is something that they could benefit from. So I can't say that I see them doing a whole lot of that right now, but I do think that it will be an element of their offense that they should be able to utilize.
No doubt, man. Hey, I want to keep putting the questions up, Nick. I got plenty of questions that I got a long list of questions I want to ask her, but I'm sure they do too. But this is about you guys, man. So we're gonna ask these questions for the chat and for the fans of the show, man. All right, from Leo Factor 1. Did anybody look different in training camp, body, physique wise? Komet, is he leaner? Right, is he leaner? I guess he's talking about Darnell, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Darnell Wright. Well, we heard from I thought you were saying Darnell Mooney because Moon looks a lot bigger. You could tell he's been working on his upper body this offseason. But
Moon is
Darnell Wright,
strong.
we heard from Ryan Poles and Flus the other day, and they were talking about how he attacked this kind of off period, the 4 days that they had off, and how he cut his body fat down, came in lean mass. Yeah, Mooney's on another, definitely on another level. But he had the ankle, so he couldn't really work on legs. So I imagine he did a lot on the upper body. But getting back to Darnell Wright, I just they seem to be very impressed with what he's doing physically. So he's got to adjust, he's got to trim some of the fat or whatever. But they say he's doing all of that, and the kid is strong, he's big. They like his competitive spirit. I think that's what they fell in love with as much as anything when they got down to Tennessee on Easter. And they tried to put him through that rigorous workout, and he never blinked. So I think that's what they like about him. He seems to be continuing to do that. So he's a guy that they like what he's done with his body. Talked about Mooney, and then I think today y'all talked about Courtney Crone. I think today Crow asked Khalil Herbert if he had focus more on his upper body today, because he came in there with his cutoff shirt on. I think Crow was like, man, you was looking a little more jacked than you were last year. He's like, yeah, I focused on lifting a little bit more and just eating better. So it seems like the guys are buying into what Flus is selling. I think Flus talks about those guys taking care of their bodies, mind, and spirit, and I think they seem to be buying into that, and good for everybody else, because that should help them stay healthy, and it should help them perform better.
Hey,
And I'd like to get in there with a question that kind of goes along with what people are saying in the chat, that as Bears fans, we appreciate you for asking smart, intelligent, relevant questions, unlike some of your colleagues. But I want to ask a question that kind of pulls back the curtain without getting you jumped in the parking lot. We hear sometimes drama going on between reporters and trying to get in, and it's like, well, I had a follow-up, and then there's beef, and like, without saying no names or getting you in no trouble, what is going on in that reporter's room?
Herb ain't got those problems.
This is a perfect time for Herb to freeze up, right?
He just sitting there.
Freeze up and escape down and text support.
Stop that.
That was a good one.
Hey, Herb. I got a quick question before we get back to the chat question.
I think.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. My bad.
I think that you certainly get some of that, and people get their question stepped on.
Man.
No, it's cool. So you certainly get people getting their questions stepped on, and sometimes that could be a little bit frustrating, and people wanting to get their questions in and whatnot. But for the most part, it's a pretty cohesive room. Now, we do get very irritated when people ask, I'll say unnecessary questions, right? When people ask those types of questions, you only get so much time, right? You only get so much time in a press conference. You're only going to get so many questions in, and when that media relations member says, hey, we got 2 more questions, and then somebody asks an unnecessary question, it can information for everybody. So when somebody asks a good question in the room, everybody appreciates it, because we always got that information. They can all we can all use it for whatever piece of content we're working on. So there's definitely some of that in the room, but for the most part, I say it's a pretty cooperative and cohesive room.
And just a real quick follow-up, which is faster, the players getting off the ball doing a 40 time or trying to leave the podium after the PC?
It depends on who it is and how they perform most recently, right? If it's one of the more personable guys, or it's a guy that's played well, then they cool with hanging around. If they walk in there and they haven't played well, they don't want to be there, and they sat there for 10 minutes and got asked, why didn't you play so well over and over and over again? And so they frustrated and ready to get out of there. But it depends on who it is and how they most recently performed.
So what you're saying is Matt Nagy's PC time is like 4-3-3.
Hey, listen. Hey, Herb. Listen, man. Hey, listen. Mike Withrow has this question: which of the UDFA's are standing out? Before you answer that question, the one question that I wanted to get in before we got out of there was, what does a front four on defense? What's that first four in the rotation? What's that looking like? Who are those guys?
Well, if it's first down, then you're gonna go. You're gonna start on the inside, and you got Billings and Jones, right? Like those are the two guys that are gonna be on the interior. Demarcus Walker will be one of the edge guys, and I would assume to start right now you have probably Travis Gibson right there. So that would be my first four right now. Now, if you talk about passing situations, then obviously Andrew is going to come out in most of those situations, and then I assume that they'll kick DeMarcus Walker in, and then probably bring the Dominique Robinson into that other edge, or Rasheem Green, the free agent that they signed, into that other edge. And so, you know, if it's first down, I think they would go Walker, Billings, Jones, Gibson. And then if it's a passing situation, I would say they probably go, Gibson, Walker, Jones, and with Dominique Robinson or Rasheem Green. So I think that's what those the first four will look like. But again, you in this league, man, like we talk about the Eagles being, maybe the standard, and you talk about like the 49ers, you need waves. You need two waves that can come in and do it. So you need 7, 8, 9 dudes that could apply pressure, that could also hold up at the point of attack. So four ain't enough, and I don't know if they have a great four to start with. I think if they play together, they could possibly be better than the sum of their parts. But if I had to say, what I think the first four will look like, those would be the guys.
All right. Well, let's get to some more questions, man, because these guys they piling it on, man. I mean, they piling it on. Ask
They got
her.
good questions too.
Yeah, ask her what he thinks of Roshan Johnson's speed and agility.
Yeah, this is what I want to hear.
Just go ahead and give it to him.
Hey,
Herb.
man,
Be honest. Be honest.
Yeah, they overhyping
Be
it.
honest.
I've been on record.
I went on record saying the same. Be honest.
I've been on record all spring, and this is nothing against Roshan Johnson. I just don't understand. I've never seen such effusive praise for a fourth round pick in my life. I've never seen it. You know what I mean? And you talk about a guy who wasn't the feature back on his own team. Again, it's not a knock on him. Bijan was all world in college. Cool. But you talk about, how great Roshan is, and everybody says the same thing, right? His college coaches, his high school coaches, the cafeteria staff, the training staff, everybody says the same thing. So I don't think they're all lying on him, right? But he could walk on water, right? And that don't really mean he's about to be a great running back. Now, I'm not saying that he won't be. I hope that he is. I hope that he's right up there with Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, Matt Forte, and then Roshan Johnson. Cool. Let's go. I'm with that, right? But I just don't know who's seen this happen. Like, I don't know who's seen it. And so I've watched him, and you do see him, some of those leadership qualities they talk about, and he wants to, be first in line in some of the individual drills. And you can see that. And he's built. He's got the body for it. Again, I'm rooting for the kid. I hope he's all of that. I've just been surprised at how much people expect from him so soon. People are like, oh, he's going to be starting by week 1. He's going to be starting by week 4. And it's like, who? The fourth round backup from Texas? Like, okay. He fumbled today. I can tell you that. He caught a pass. He caught a pass in the flat, and DB came up, punched it out. So, listen, I think that he's got the intangibles for sure, and I think he's got some physical ability. I'm just shocked at how people are just piling on the love train for a kid who was the backup at his own school, which is wild to me. Maybe we'll see.
See, that's what happens when you invite Peanut Tillman to the practice. You know what I'm saying? Now your fourth wide running back is having trouble.
Hey, man. Hey, you know what, man? I'm gonna just say this before I move on to this next question from Joseph Matuzak. I believe there's a certain segment of the Bears population that really went out of their way to let's say not fantasy, but the mock drafts. There was a lot of mock drafts. I mean, shows after show after show after show after show. I'm not gonna call out no names, but when that guy got selected, actually, it's like the whole Twitterverse just exploded. Like we were right. We were right. Yeah, he's gonna be starting running back day one. No, he ain't, man. He's gonna have to fight through special teams and try to get into the rotation, man. This dude ain't gonna be no starting running back, not no time soon. He might be one at some point down the line, but trust and believe he's got to fight special teams first and try to remain on this roster. That's what he's got to do. You know what I mean? So I know you guys
we
really
talked
good.
about Khalil earlier, bro. He led the league in yards per carry last year. We talked about Deontay Foreman. That dude was getting busy in Carolina last year. These are two veteran professionals. They might like the kid, love him, they might work with him, but if you think they finna hand him their job, you out your damn mind. Like he gonna have to earn it, and once that season gets started, it's a little bit harder to jump over guys, right? Coaches are just like, hey, here's the starter. You getting 80% of the reps throughout the week. Young fella, you might get 10%, right? Travis Homer's a good back. Like you got, there's a lot in front of him before we can just anoint him the next great Bears back. Again, I'm not, holding on to the kid. I hope all of that's true, but I don't know. I ain't seen what these people are talking about.
Hey Herb, as a former football player, you know, and I know, you know damn well, man. It's one thing for a receiver to drop a pass and bobble a pass and put it on the turf, but it's another damn thing when a running back put that ball. Hey, what happens? That coach is on you, man. You can't keep doing that. So be looking out for that. Hopefully he won't keep doing that. But you drop a running back drops the ball and puts it on the turf.
Comes next to me.
Yep.
Exactly.
Real quick, while we talking running backs, before you get off running backs real quick, something that Gessie did say today that kind of stood out to me, Herb, and I want to see what you think about this when he talked about, I think it was Courtney that asked the question about the running backs lining up out wide, and he was saying that, you know, that it makes it, that versatility in the running back makes it harder for defenses to, know exactly what the offense is going to do. And he said it gives it. He said not having that versatility takes away the offense's advantage on the defense, and it is critical for guys to have that versatility. That being said, we know that Khalil Herbert, 5.7 yards a carry, but he's not that guy that can stretch out in coverage, stretch out wide and then run a route. He's not a great route runner, and he's a below average route runner. He's has below average hands as well. So I think that spoke volumes to me about, and the fact that the Bears brought in these 3 different running backs this year, that said a lot to me. Like they're putting a lot of pressure on Khalil Herbert to, improve on it, not only in pass coverage, but also as a receiver. And like you just said, they got Travis Homer, and that's a guy who's pretty versatile. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. No, they got a room of guys that provide different skill sets, right? So Travis Homer can do it. Roschon Johnson can do it, right? That may be a way for him to, crack in some of these packages as well. So I think that having that versatility is certainly going to help the offense. But you got to think also that you've got big receivers like Chase Claypool. You've got tight ends you can split out wide with Robert Tonyan and Cole Kmet. Just splitting those guys out there, and then you create a 4-on-4 or a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2, and then you just throw the ball out there to your running back, and you let Claypool and Cole Kmet clean up these DBs. Now you got your running back out there in space. And so, some of those packages may be for things like that. You got Velus Jones who could do that as well. You get Velus Jones out there and sit behind Claypool and Cole Kmet. That could turn into a big play very easily. Tyler Scott can do the same thing. So I think having that versatility with those running backs, that certainly matters. I'm in terms of the passing game with the running backs, I'm more focused on their pass pro than their route running and catching the ball. And Khalil Herbert struggled with that in the past, and I think he knows that. In fact, I asked him about it today, and we talked about it's the mental component of it in terms of using the proper technique, and then the desire, the mentality to say I'm going to stick my nose in there. And once we got done talking about the 3 things that it took, I asked him, well, when you reviewed your own tape, which one did you think you needed to improve most? And to my surprise, he gave me a very honest answer. He was like, "My mentality on it, like you gotta want to meet those linebackers at the line of scrimmage, right? You can't let them dudes run 10 yards at you and think you're gonna catch them in your chest right here. No, you're not. He's gonna push you right back into your quarterback. You gotta want to go meet him up at the line of scrimmage. And shout out to Khalil Herbert for keeping it a buck with me and saying, nah, I gotta improve my mentality of wanting to go do that. So that's one. But I know that Travis Homer, he wants to do that. He's been very good at pass pro. Everything we hear and the limited tape that we've seen, Roshan is good at it. He wants to do it. And so, again, that may be ways for those guys to factor into this competition even more so than Herbert and Foreman.
Yep.
So that leads us to the return game. I don't know how much of that you're seeing, if any, but who do you think is going to be returning kicks and punts?
Hold on, kids. Go ahead and answer that, Herb, if you want.
All right, so I think that the first answer is Velus Jones. And I think certainly in kick returns, Velus Jones, I think, should be back there and probably will be back there. The question for Velus is, can he handle punts? And it's a different situation when we talk about kicks and punts. And, kicks, I think he can get back there, catch the ball, do his thing. But tracking those punts was a problem for him last year. And then once he muffed a couple, it becomes a mental hurdle. And so as soon as the ball goes up, you kind of fighting with your own self about whether or not you're going to actually get to the spot, catch it the right way. And, you can kind of just see him, his wheel spinning when the ball goes up. Now, if he can have a clean summer of catching punts in practice, but also in the preseason, I would like to see him back there because he has rare, unteachable abilities in terms of his speed, his power. He's thick. He's not just a fast dude like Tyler Scott, who's small. Velus is thick. He's strong. So he can hit that hole, split those defenders, and break that first tackle. And now it's just him and the punter. And the punter, he did on that. So I would lean towards Velus, but with caution of the struggles that he had with punts. And I think that if he has those struggles with punts again, then that might open up the door for a guy like Dante Pettis to, fight out for that last spot, on this roster. Also, Tyler Scott has some kick return ability. I don't know about his punt return ability as much as his kick return ability, but that straight line speed is, again, something that can be very, very scary. So, and then Khalil Herbert has done it. So, how they choose to go about this running back committee, if he's not a guy that's getting 20-plus carries a game, then they may send him back there and return some kicks. I think, he's one of the league leaders in that a couple of years ago. So they got some options for sure. We'll see how it plays out. But if I had to choose a horse, I would go with Velus.
All right, let's get to some more questions. You good for 5 more? It's probably like 25 more in there, man. But you good for 5 of them, Herb?
No, I'm good. And I want to answer Joe's question about DeMarcus Walker because he's 100% correct. That's another thing that was on that notepad. His energy is always high. Like 95 is always bouncing around. He's always pumping guys up and talking and that's just who he is. Even when you talk to him in press conferences, that's the energy that he got. That's how he shows up. He gonna be himself. So we'll see what that translates to as a run stuffing and pass rushing. But he's a very, very high energy guy. I think that's infectious.
All right. Paul Clark wants to know, what does Herb think of the Cole Kmet extension?
I think, they were impressed with what they saw from him in the second half of last year. I came into last year and I was, publicly frustrated with Cole Kmet. I was just hearing about Cole Kmet's potential. I'm sick of talking about his potential. Like, is this dude good or is this dude not good? And I said at the beginning of last year, I was like, I'm going to give him 8 weeks, half the season, to decide, is he good or is he not? And by then, he ain't good. I'm like, whatever. He struggled the first half of the year. And then to his credit, second half of the year, he turned it on. He picked it up, ended up finishing the season, 7 touchdowns, 50-something balls. And so I think that they just saw a guy that's ascending. And, you add more talent around him, You bring in, DJ Moore, Chase Claypool gets settled into the system, a better offensive line, those types of things. Um, the idea is that he should be able to continue to ascend. He's got all the physical tools. He's a big guy who can, be a good inline blocker for you, but also be able to run routes. So I know what they like about Cole Kmet. We heard Ryan Post talking about his work ethic, but also, how he just continues to ascend each and every year. And so, good Cole Kmet to get his extension. You know, the amount or whatever is just what it is. I never really get too much into counting these billionaires' money. The Bears got enough money to pay whoever they choose to pay. But the fact that they just want to keep him around for another, 3 or 4 years, I say good for Kokeman. I do think he's an ascending player, and he had a really strong second half.
All right, let's get the next question up. Wait a minute. Phil said he need to work on his mechanics. He blamed his footwork and arm angle as the reason he was floating balls and missing receivers last year. Do you see an improvement?
Yeah, absolutely. I think arm talent isn't Justin's problem, right? I think when you talk about mechanics, we mostly talking about footwork. Now, the ball, anytime you drop your elbow, the ball's gonna sail on you, and so you see that from time to time from many quarterback. You just drop your elbow and the ball sails, but you don't see that a whole lot from Justin. When he has time to step and throw in rhythm, he can put the ball through a keyhole. Like he puts it where he wants it to go more often than not, and I've seen a lot of more of that since the spring. You go back to OTAs and minicamp, he's zipping the ball. They had a one red zone period specifically stands out where he was just ripping balls into the end zone. Robert Tonyan called a nice one-hand ball in that particular drill. But I think that, again, Justin has all the arm talent that you could want. On the deep ball, on the intermediate throws, he can get it up over the linebacker and down in front of the safety. He has all of those things in terms of arm talent. It's just, can he be in rhythm? Can he be on time? Can he tie his feet to his eyes? And if he does, I have no concerns about his ability to throw the football.
Me either, man. I second that. Let's get to the next question. Cornelius Squalls wants to know: is the Bears culture as good as it appears? I think what he's asking there is what you hear being preached by the coach, by the GM, and by everybody around the building. Is it on the field as they say it is at the podium?
Yeah, I think the culture that you hear about is as good as they say, right? Even you go back to last year, you walk in that locker room, there weren't guys soaking, there weren't guys pointing fingers, there wasn't a whole lot of infighting. There were guys talking about improving themselves and improving as a team. You see them practice, their guys are running 30, 40 yards down the field. D linemen, they go rush, ball gets over them, they turn, they run, they get out the stack. Like they do all of those types of things. So absolutely, when you talk about the culture, now culture gonna get you so far. You got to have some talent. You got to have some good dude in that culture. And so last year they just didn't have enough talent. It wasn't culture. It wasn't attitude. It wasn't demeanor. It wasn't effort. It wasn't none of that. They just didn't have the talent. And so now you add a little bit of an influx of talent and continue to develop that culture. And I think it should pay some dividends. So yeah, I no issues with the culture. I think Flus and Poles, and now you got Kevin Warren coming in there because Kevin Warren talk about Super Bowls, right? Sometimes you still even hear Poles and Flus a little hesitant. They talk about, oh, we won a championship, so we want to win division. Kevin won like Super Bowl, so that's the mentality. I think it's real. I think they know, the amount of work that it takes to do it. They just got to have the talent too. So yeah, to answer the question, the culture is as good as you hear about.
And a real quick follow up to what you just brought up, President Kevin Warren. Do you feel that presence when you are in a room with him that everyone has said that he commands just by being there?
Yeah, he's a boss, man. But he's a good boss, right? You can definitely feel when he walked in the room. Like you can feel that he walked. I was doing my post practice video today, and I don't know where he was going. But he left the building, and he was coming out to get in a truck. and just his presence, man, when he's around. Like I wasn't even looking at him, but the people that I was looking at were looking behind, and I was like, what the hell? You could just tell the energy like that shit, and it wasn't like they were starstruck. They've seen him before. They talked to him before. It's just I don't know. He just has this kind of presence about him that I think commands respect, commands attention, and I think there's a huge difference in commanding and demanding. Right? A lot of people can come in and demand and yell and shout. Commanding it is a different thing, and I think he absolutely does that. But I think he also does it in a way that's empowering. Right? He wants to put guys in position to do what they need to do their jobs, and support them through it. He's been talking about coming in, meeting individually with every person in the building. And I think that's, a worthwhile, tactic to try and figure out what's going on in the building, what needs to improve, what needs to go, what we need more of. And so, yeah, I think that he's every bit of the leader that can take the Bears where they want to go. I think they've got themselves a really good president.
Hey, man. You know what, man? I got like 3 pages of questions I want to ask you. I want you to know that right now, Herb. I just want you to know that I got 3 pages of stuff that I have not asked you, but everybody is not as patient as I am. Hey, the people in the chat hey, man, you got it bubbling out here, Herb. I want you to know that, man. And we can't
Let's chop it up. I'm good to go a little longer, man. It's up to you, but
Okay. Let's do it then. Hey, I was waiting to hear you say that, man, because there's a lot going on that I want to talk about, and I'm sure these guys got a lot to talk about. But I'm just trying to be respectful of your time. I feel lucky and fortunate that you were here tonight, and so I want to take advantage of that, man. So thank you for saying that.
No, I appreciate the consideration. There's definitely some long days and trips up to Hallis, and but dog days of summer they're gonna be what they are. So I get enough rest in.
I'll let my guys go first, man, because I know they just piping with questions.
Oh man, that kick return situation was really where I was at. I kind of wanted to know about Travis Homer as well. You didn't touch on Travis Homer. Do you think he factors in?
And to piggyback on that, to give you one answer, what about Crookshank at all?
Crookshank's got a lot of good speed, and he's got a lot of great tape from his return days in college. I think again, there's only so many spots, and he's gonna have to be really, really dynamic in whatever limited opportunities he gets in practice and whatever limited opportunities he gets in the game. I imagine he's going to be out there a lot. Fourth quarter of those preseason games, can he take one of those kicks and put it in the end zone? Right? If he can ball, Coach Hightower will advocate for him. Right? That's just the special teams coordinator. He'll advocate for him. That being said, I think that's a long journey for him to jump in terms of the guys that are ahead of him and him being his position group being a receiver. So as far as Travis Homer, I think he's a phenomenal special team player. He's a 4-phase guy. He's going to be on all your teams. I don't know about kick returner itself. I know he has that ability, but again, the first thing you want your returner to do is secure the football, right? Job number 1 is get the ball back to the offense. So Travis Homer, cool on that. But all things being equal, you also want a guy who can be dynamic with the ball in his hands. And Velus Jones just sets himself apart from a lot of other guys with that type of ability. Even other guys that have the speed, like Tyler Scott, like Cruikshank, because he has the size and ability to break tackles. He's also got great vision and instincts with the ball in his hands. So I think that it would be there's some high hurdles for some of those guys to jump over, but Travis Homer is going to be a core special teams player for this team in all phases.
Man, let's go to my wheelhouse, man. The trenches, man. We haven't talked enough about them. I know that the pads aren't on. I heard some things today about there being a little mix-up because of our boy DeMarcus Walker, with the loud mouth. And, I think that our offensive line is also trying to, develop that toughness. I think that, the offensive line sets the tempo for the offense, and the defensive line will set the tempo for the defense. I see that DeMarcus Walker is a talker. Do we see the other players around him, following that leadership and, becoming a little tougher, or, having a little bit more, showing a little bit more bravado? And what about the offense? Are they, looking like they're not going to be pushed around, like they want to be that physically imposing unit that sets the tempo for the offensive line?
Defensively, what we have heard from some of the leaders you talk about, Tremaine Edmonds and Eddie Jackson, is they just preaching just to be yourself, man. Like, be who you are. Tremaine Edmonds said, like, if you're a talker, talk. If you ain't a talker, don't. Just show with your actions or whatever. I don't think anybody wants guys, faking the funk and out there chirping just to chirp. That's not, like, guys can see through that. They're like, that's not you, man. Be quiet, cool out. And I think guys know that. You can see through that. But the guys they got enough guys who just are like that anyway. You don't need extra guys faking that. Tyreek Stevenson is a new guy. He's already like that. Bojack been like that for 7 years. DeMarcus Walker, he must have been born like that. So, like, I think all these guys that just naturally like that are kind of going to be like that. And the guys that aren't, I don't think they're going to kind of fake it. I do think that energy is infectious, right? And so you don't even have to be that kind of rah-rah chirping guy. But if your brother's standing next to you popping off, it's still gonna make some kind of boil up in you to just go a little harder. I might not say shit, but I'm still going hard. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's infectious in that manner. As far as the offensive line, you gotta have some nasty as offensive linemen. That's a question I've been asking for a couple of years, and I've asked these guys, like, who's that guy? And you get answers like, oh, everybody's that guy. No, everybody's not that guy, right? You got to have that guy. You go back to Olin Krutz era. It didn't matter. You couldn't even tell who was in the middle of the pile. You knew 57 was in there somewhere. Like, you just knew it. And I think that Tevin Jenkins is a nasty dude. Like, he's got a disposition. He's real. Like, you talk to him, he's kind of chill, quiet, but he got a disposition. He wants to finish you 20 yards down the field. He wants to take you to the water cooler. I think Darnell Wright probably has some of that in him. You got to see it exactly according to his Tevin Jenkins. You got to see Darnell Wright. I think he has some of that ability in him. You saw it on tape in college. I would like to see what that looks like for him now. Getting to know Nate Davis, he's got that real quiet temperament, but he talks about flipping the switch when it's time. I don't think Braxton Jones is ever going to have that, and I don't think he should fake it. That's not who Braxton Jones is. You talk to him; he's a super polite guy. I remember
super polite.
I remember his first press conference at Hallis Hall. Right, they drafted him. We had a press conference with him on Zoom, but then the next day or whatever, once they flew him in, and he had his press conference at Hallis Hall. I literally asked him in the middle of the press conference if he ever had a fight. And
I remember that.
I don't
Yeah,
know if I meant to ask it, but it just
You did.
that's what I was thinking. And so it just came on. I'm like, you ever had a fight? And he was like, huh? I'm like, a fist fight. You ever had one? Because, like, he's a huge dude, imposing guy, but just talking to him in his demeanor, like, I don't think this dude has ever punched nobody ever. And
you seem like the nicest dude in that. I remember that conference.
Super nice dude. And it was like, man, I would like my offensive lineman to punch people sometimes. You know what I mean? That's just what I would like.
Hold on, hold on 1 second. Hey, Herb, we had a guy, man. He's got this guy in college, man. This dude was 6'9", 330 pounds, man. He was from the Bahamas, so we call him Bahama. Man, hey, dude, this dude. I mean, his hands look like a catcher's mitt. It's like if he swung on somebody, man, something getting fractured. I guarantee you that, man. This dude. He was big, he was heavy-handed, but he was the nicest guy you ever. To this day, I love him, man. To this day, I love him. He's a veterinarian now, and he's a humanitarian, man. But he wanted nothing to do with violence, man. And Braxton does give off those vibes.
You should thank God he didn't. God didn't kill you.
Some of those dudes, they just learn that early. They learn that early on because they so big. When you young and you so much bigger than everybody else, it's not even a comfortable thing, right? They don't really like it. Like, oh man, I'm awkward and I'm hurting people, and you know what I'm saying, and people getting mad at me. I'm playing too rough and all that kind of stuff. And so I think some of them just kind of develop this demeanor that's just, you know, it's disarming.
Mental.
Like I know I'm 6'7", I know I'm 330, but I promise you I don't want to hurt you, right? Like just show up with this kind of disarming demeanor, and I think Braxton Jones is he's just naturally that way. I love Braxton Jones, man. I do a series called Bear With Me, and then just sit down and do one-on-ones with guys for 10 or 15 minutes, and we talk about stuff that don't really got nothing to do with football. He's just a likable dude. I like him, and I think he's a good football player. I think he's going to develop. I think he's going to probably be the Bears' left tackle for a while, right? And I know a lot of people still got questions about him in terms of his ability, but I think struggling against that bull rush because he just didn't have the strength. I mean, I can't even imagine what the weight room looks like at Southern Utah compared to a National Football League weight room. I mean, so I think once he's stronger, he'll be fine. I like Braxton Jones a lot, so I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying I don't think he's ever going to be that kind of nasty guy that we were talking about. But Tevin Jenkins right next to him, though, he owned that.
He probably never had to be.
You got Beauty and the Beast over there.
A shout out to all the gentle giants out there, but from one MFer to another, it's nice to have those guys on your team who can be those MFers when necessary.
Think about it. You 6'7", you've been the tallest guy all your life in every classroom you ever been. You don't have to be because people are afraid of you. Everybody's being nice to you. So he probably was just a guy being nice to everyone because they were afraid of him and being nice to him. That's how I look at it, man. But as long as he's gonna block, I'm good with it. Be you.
I grew up with a guy like that, Herb, man. I was just talking to Chris about him last night, man. He's a huge guy, man. He's 350 pounds now. I mean, he might be slimmer now because, life. But, hey, man, look, man. I look at Braxton Jones, man, and I look at his eyes, man. I look at his eyes. And I'm telling you right now, what we think Braxton Jones is and how he comes across verbally ain't what it really is. I think he's got to switch to him, and somebody's got to turn it on.
Yeah, somebody needs to kick him in the shins. Like I know exactly what you mean. It'll get there. He'll get PO'd, and we'll start to see it. But until we get there, he just seems to be much more of a cerebral, nice guy, and I can live with that, especially if you got a jerk standing right beside you. I love that Tevin Jenkins is a little bit of a jerk. Mm-hmm. I hope everybody loves it. I love it. I think he's awesome. And to be honest with you, hearing about Mr. DeMarcus Walker, it sounds like he might be just a little bit of that on the defense too. And I really miss Akeem Hicks, and I just want to throw that out there. I saw Akeem
was definitely that dude.
Yeah, I saw Akeem today talking about Justin being number 86, giving him some love, and I was like, man, I really miss that guy. I miss that leadership that we had on that line.
We haven't had anyone on our defensive line to be that guy last year. So having DeMarcus Walker on the line this year, and maybe he'll bring it out of Braxton this year because he's going to try to toss Braxton around and he's going to talk a little trash. So maybe Braxton going to get tired of it a little bit and get a little nastiness to him, man. That's what we're hoping.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's
going
to happen to DeMarcus Walker. He's going to talk all that stuff to Braxton Jones, and it's going to be a play. Well, because Braxton Jones is y'all talking about this switch and maybe, and I can see in his eyes that he's gonna do his job. He ain't got no problem blocking you 30 yards, but this idea that he gonna be like, oh, I hate you, I don't see that from him. I don't see him, slamming guys late. I don't see none of that from him. But I tell you what I will see. DeMarcus Walker gonna be doing all that, and he's not gonna say nothing back. Braxton not gonna say nothing back, but Tevin gonna get tired of it. And so on the plays where DeMarcus Walker try to rush up the field and then spin back to the inside, Tevin gonna lay his ass out. You know what I'm saying? Like those plays with the guard just kind of looking for work, and he's like, I ain't got no work over here, but this boom, and he gonna lay his ass out. Yep. They gonna fight because DeMarcus gonna be pissed. They gonna fight. Like if I had to bet on the first fight, DeMarcus and Tevin.
I love it.
That's
a good call.
Based on those personality types, I can definitely see that run in happening soon, man. Herb is not BSing when he says that. That's gonna happen. And you know what? I think the coach of this team and the standards that they have set, I think it'll be just okay. It'll be fine. Once they get in the locker room, they're gonna dap it up. and they're gonna be all right with that
They
whole.
gonna laugh about it. They gonna laugh about it. Like,
They
yeah,
gonna
like,
be
dude,
cool.
you were doing a little too much
I got
talking
you,
today,
man.
dog. I got you.
As soon as Tevin out there slamming somebody else offensively and they come off the field, DeMarcus gonna be the first person to be on the sideline. Like, hell yeah, I saw you slam, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna be fine, but they gonna box.
Yeah.
Don't go on. Hey, that's funny, man, because you think about the personality types. You talking about DeMarcus Walker, Tevin Jenkins, and Braxton Jones, man. Hey, look, what did you get a chance to look at the second team anything, or were you looking at all first team guys?
No, you gotta look at the second team, man. They got a lot of depth in there, and you got a lot of positions that's not settled. This ain't a team that's just, you know, packed with, you know, top end talent or guys that got spots solidified up and down the roster. That ain't the case. On the defensive line, you got plenty of competition. I named 4 guys earlier, but it wouldn't surprise me none. By the end of the season, there was 4 different guys. So like you gotta watch, and especially intriguing to watch those 2 young D tackles. I hope one of them piss Tevin Jenkins off at some point. You know what I mean? Because that means they competing on his level, and they giving him a little bit of a problem and all that. So I want to see that. So yeah, you got to watch and see how those guys are continuing to progress. How those second guys are coming in. Noel Sewell, you're going to watch and see, you know, how he's moving around the ball. He played a lot at the Sam today because Jack Sanborn is not quite ready for a full go yet in terms of teams. But watching them in the second unit, all those guys, the depth at corner, you talk about Josh Blackwell, Jalen Jones, all of that is very, very intriguing. Elijah Hicks back there at safety. Right, I want Bojack to play 17 games, but you know, that's a hope, you know, and what kind of depth do you got at safety now? You don't got DHC back there no more. He's gone. So you need these guys to step up and show what they got. So yeah, anybody who loves the game and is interested in this team, you better be, you know, watching some of these camp battles and some of these depth positions.
Hey,
Hey,
hold on, Trip. Hold on one second, Trip. What about your guy, man? You made me go study, and I said this on, I think, the last Nomad at Night. I said this, man. I mentioned what was his name, DeAnthony Jones.
Yep.
You mentioned it. You mentioned that guy, man, and I was just like, all right, man. He's a short guy, little thick guy. He didn't fit what they said they like. Big, long, fast. He's fast, but he's not big and he's not long. However, watching him, I'll give you this credit, Herb, and watching him on tape, man, I'm telling you, as a right guard, I mean, as a right tackle or as any tackle, it's going to be hard to block a guy like that can get that low to the ground. You're going to give up some leverage, and that guy's going to punish you. I think he's got the skill set to actually stand out in this camp. I don't know if he's going to make this team, but I have definitely, since you said that, Herb, he stuck out to you. I think that was the first show you ever came on, and I went to work, and man, I definitely see what you're saying, man. You got anything on him?
Yeah, no, I love him. I saw somebody in the comments that asked earlier what undrafted free agents kind of stood out, and it's DeAnthony Jones, man. Every time I see him line up on the edge, I'm watching him rush the passer. I'm watching his moves. I'm watching his bendability and how he's able to bend and turn that corner and those types of things. And you know, the pass got to come on. You got to see it all come together. But in terms of, you know, his traits, he's got some unique traits, man. You see him go through those bags. He can go through those bags as good as anybody on this roster right now in terms of flipping his hips, boom, 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 pivot, get back down the line. Like, the dude's got some rare traits. I'm not saying that he's ready to, you know, step in and start and be a doc, but I'm saying he's got some tools that could be useful, especially if you talk about a defensive line that doesn't have a bunch of, you know, solidified, proven guys. We talking about DeMarcus Walker. He had his career high last year. He had 7 sacks. You know what I mean? So like, it's not a defensive front that's got a bunch of proven guys. And so if you can come in and add some consistent, you know, pressure, you got an opportunity to crack that rotation. I like what I've seen from him so far. When the pass come on, we'll continue to see. I see Cornelius talking about Terrell Lewis. He popped in the spring, but he just pops because, you know, he's got the size. Like, you see him, he's got the prototypical size that you want. He's an Alabama kid. He came in, you know, highly touted. He's had injuries, but if he's healthy, I think he's another guy that can really, really help you. You heard earlier, Bojack spoke highly about him in terms of the player that he was at Alabama. And so he's got the pedigree. He's got to stay healthy, and if he's able to do that, again, these Ryan Poles is trying to find guys that can help, from the back end of this defensive line room, because they don't have all of these proven guys. But that being said, anytime you got a problem, you got an opportunity. And the Bears have a problem in terms of not having proven guys, but that creates an opportunity for unproven guys. And if they can take advantage of it, then Ryan Poles is, people are like 100% convinced that he's about to sign some DN every day. And I don't know that to be true. Like I've said it, like I don't know that he's not going to just go in with the guys he's got. He's certainly not going to overspend. He's not going to leverage any of his future assets for none of that. He's not going to do none of that type of stuff. So if they go into the season with the line made up of guys that are just already on the roster, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And guys like DeAnthony Jones and Terrell Lewis could certainly factor into that. You talk about Travis Bell, another guy who doesn't get the mold of the big, long, but they love that kid. They drafted him, and he's got that leverage ability too in terms of getting under these guys' pads. So listen, that D-line competition in terms of rotation, wide open. The two kids are going to make the team, Pickens and Dexter. Billings got a contract. He'll be on the team. Justin Jones will be on the team. Dominique Robinson, they like his traits and some of the things he did last year. He'll be on the team. Everything else is, I guess, DeMarcus Walker will be there. They signed Kasim Green. So they got some guys, but by no means is this this D-line, impenetrable for some of these younger, unproven guys.
Cream will rise to the top, man.
I know I interrupted you, man. I apologize to you, man. But before you ask this question, I just wanted to say, just to pile on what Herb just said, man, I think people have leveraged their mortgage on the fact that the idea that we're going to sign a DN in free agency, which we might. But I think people are constantly, man, like, dude, let it rest, man. Leave that alone. Let's see what happens. I think they need to see what they have in camp when the pads come on before they make a move like that. They may not have that opportunity later on. They might miss a guy because they want to see what they have in camp. But I wouldn't be sitting here worrying about, okay, Ryan Poles needs to make a move at DN. Everybody's gone off the market. He's wasting time. Forget that nonsense, man. Let that man do what he's got to do. But go ahead, Trip.
Hold on, before you do, I already got the loan. I already got the loan, and I put the down payment down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm waiting for this to pop. Anyways, Chip, you go, bro.
I don't think that it's getting the attention that it deserves due to the seriousness of the position, and being that, there's a difference in 10 yards whether you're making points or not. So the battle between Santos and Smits, how's that looking distance-wise and consistency-wise?
I think that, when you see a guy miss, 4 extra points, it just blows your mind. And you're like, yo, what the hell is going on? I don't think Cairo could miss 4 extra points again if he tried to. That's just crazy to see. Even with the new, well, ain't that new no more, but, the pushback extra point. It's still crazy to see. And I think that just kind of has this lasting impression in people's mind that he's like super struggling. But Cairo didn't super struggle last year. He in field goals, he was still top 5 in the league percentage wise. And I think that Cairo has plenty enough leg. I do think that Smith has a little bit of a stronger leg. You can hear it off the ball. Big boom. Like you can just hear it when he kicks it. That being said, man, I would be surprised if Cairo isn't the Bears kicker come week 1. I'd be very, very surprised by that. I think that Hightower likes him. Hightower got real chippy earlier this spring when somebody was pressing him about Cairo. And he's like, what? Cairo was top 5 in percentage. He did this, did that, and third. And so I think, again, just the image of seeing a guy miss that many extra points just kind of stands out in your mind. You're like, I don't know that I want him back. But field goals, especially you talk about King on the lake at Soldier Field, that ain't nothing you just want to start cycling through and bringing new guys in to try that out. Like that's we had that problem with Robbie when Robbie had that year where he struggled. And I was at that 49ers game when Robbie missed that kick, and I was like, yo, what the hell? I'm sick of Robbie. I'm done with him. But then you have a hard time trying to replace guys to kick on the lakefront. So I'm good with Cairo. I think he's got a good demeanor. I think he never gets too high, gets too low. I would be surprised if he's not the kicker. But if he isn't, then that means that other kid has performed really, really well in the preseason and summer. That being said, again, December, January at Soldier Field is a different animal.
Somebody in the chat asked me to. My fault, Samuel. I see you.
No, go
Somebody
ahead.
in the chat wanted me to speak on Terrell Smith. You can speak to that better than I can because I gave the little breakdown that I could about Terrell Smith. I like him. He's a big corner, and you like big guys out there when you play this type of defense. Did you see anything that really stuck out to you about him? What do you? Is he playing at all on the first, second, or third squad? Man, what does he look like out there?
Well, he missed most of the spring. He was dealing with some nagging injury, but the traits he has him, man. He's long, he got the long arms, and he was out there today. And I won't ask you to pull that notepad up again, but there's a note about him on it. Against the first team offense, you look, it's the very last thing on there. 32 in great position on 11 on a deep ball from one. He was in great position against Darnell Mooney on a deep ball down the left side that Justin threw, and it was incomplete. Like, Mooney didn't beat him at all. He's running step for step with Moon. And you talk about a big corner, you would think that, okay, maybe he don't got the speed to keep up with some of these faster guys. Well, Moon is one of these faster guys, and the kid was in great position all the way down the field. There was no chance of a completion. So that was just one thing that stood out today from him. So, he's got some tools. He's got some things you got to like. I'm sure he's got some growing to do in this league. But just on that one rep alone, you can see that he has the ability to play at this level.
Hey, Herb, was he confident enough to get up there and get hands on Moon, or was he just there with him stride for stride, or both? Which one was it?
He was probably off about 7 or 8, and then as Moon came to him, contact, turn, carry. He's got Moon on his off arm. He's looking back at the ball. He's actually a little bit ahead of Moon as the ball comes in. And so, again, no space for no completion there. Justin threw a pretty decent ball. Just wasn't nowhere for it to go because that kid was in great position on that particular rep. He got up, ran back. Wasn't a whole lot of. If that was Tyreek, he probably would have been rah-rah. Shorty just ran back like, I'll do it again. Like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing. So we'll see how he continues to develop. But I was very, very impressed with him on that particular rep. Especially, again, we didn't see him in the spring because he was dealing with an injury.
My bad, Samo, man. But
Man, you jumped in on, you got both of my players, man. And your last two questions, where I was going to ask Herb about DeAnthony Jones, and I was just going to ask him about Terrell Smith because we haven't heard anyone else talk about him. And he was touted as the steal, one of the steals in this draft for us. And like you say, we didn't see him in OTA, so it was good to hear that he's out there looking good so far. I didn't really have much more, man. I haven't heard your take on Velus as a receiver. We heard that he made a lot of plays today at receiver, and maybe his confidence is up, and he's looking a lot better. I just want to hear your take on what you saw from Velus today.
He did have a good day. He caught a deep ball down the right sideline for a touchdown. It was a really nice catch. Wasn't like a double catch, wasn't a body thing. Last year he wanted to catch everything with his body. I was actually standing in that end zone as the ball came, and he over the shoulder, hands, feet, looked real natural, which he never looked natural catching the ball last year. So he was able to get the ball out in space, and anytime he gets the ball out in space, it's trouble, man. Those DBs, they don't want to tackle him. Like, that's not something you want. Now, they're not in pads right now anyway, but you can just see he's a locomotive. And, you see, even when they're not in pads, you see guys come up, get their arms around, try to punch the ball and all that. It's a whole lot of tagging off once Velus gets to top speed. Guys not really trying to get in front of that. So he did have a good day. And that's a boost for his confidence, and he can stack good days. And if he's able to do that, he could be a really, really nice weapon for them, something that they can use in a multitude of ways. You talk about end rounds, reverses, you talk about bubble screens, throw them in the backfield, you talk about quick slant, all those type of stuff. And it was good to see him catch the deep ball because he's got that kind of speed. So yeah, he had a good day. Hopefully he can continue to stack those days.
Hey, let me say this right quick, man. Hey, Herb, because I don't want to wear you out, man. We need you throughout the training camp. We need you throughout the season. And I don't want to wear you out, man. I'm gonna be honest with you because there's a guy that Clay Harbor actually said this, and I'm gonna speak on this, man. Clay Harbor gave us the Heisman, man. We had him all set up, and he gave us the Heisman, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
He
we gonna
did.
keep that to us, man. We ain't gonna blast him out. But he
You just did.
You totally did. I grabbed the mic and struck the Heisman pose.
He mentioned Robert Tonyan, man. I kept seeing Robert Tonyan multiple times on Twitter. Did he stick out to you, and why?
Yeah, he jumped out in the spring, man. I like the signing when they made it. I've always been impressed when I saw the Packers play. Like he's not as big as I thought he was in Green Bay. For some reason, I just thought he was bigger. I thought he was more kind of like Cole Kmet in terms of size. He's not quite that big in terms of height. He's got broad shoulders. He's big enough. I'm not saying he's small. I just thought he was a little bigger. But anyway, going back to the spring, he's been making plays. I talked about having a one-hand catch in the back of the end zone in one of the red zone drills earlier. He made another nice one-hand catch today. He's where he's supposed to be, man. He catches the ball with his hands, and then he's looking to turn it up. He ain't just catching it and trying to go down. He catching it, and he's looking to turn it up. And he be out there in Jordan 1s, which is kind of swaggy. Like, he be kind of swagged out there, so I give him a couple bonus points for that. But I think what he's going to be able to bring in terms of some of this 12 personnel is going to be really beneficial to the Bears, especially down in the red zone. You talk about the matchup nightmares they're going to be able to create, especially if Chase Claypool is who we all hope he can be. You talk about having Chase Claypool, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan out there wide, and you just creating mismatches. Like somebody ain't ready. Like your linebacker or a little corner is going to be on one of these dudes, and that's just not what you want. So I think that he's going to be able to bring a component to this offense that should be really, really useful for the Bears, especially in the red zone. But even between the 20s, he should be able to help in terms of opening up some of the middle of the field, checking it down to him. Those things that again keep those drives alive, those 6 and 7s that keep the chains moving. That's what you need, and he should be able to provide that for them when they do decide to go double tight.
Hey, Herb, man. Hey, we got to wrap this up, man, because my man Herb has got to get up in the morning, man. And I got to get up in the morning. Hey, listen, man. Hey, dude is a national treasure to me, and I do. Herb, I don't want you to think I'm blowing smoke. I thoroughly appreciate you. I mean, as a man.
Hey, Nomad.
Yeah.
I wanted to say,
I received that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's telling the truth, man. We feel that way about you here, and I wanted to kind of piggyback on something that you guys talked about earlier. I'm a little bit older. You're probably around my son's age, but I did want to say, man, every time I see you, part of my job here is to kind of do a lot of research, and every time I see an image of you, man, it's always in a positive light. To see a young brother like you, articulate, handling yourself the way you do, that gives me a sense of pride. So I said to myself, the next time you came, I was definitely going to let you know that, because those images aren't seen enough, and you definitely represent well. So I just want to give you, like Samuel says, give you your flowers and tell you I appreciate you, I'm proud of you, and I'm glad to be associated with you. All right. So I just wanted to add that.
I appreciate it to the utmost.
Hey,
all of that credit goes to my mama and to the south side of the shop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
Tell him to get your damn intro done, man. Stop playing.
And listen, I want to know why you got to get up early in the morning for what?
Hey, Herb, stay back. Hey, don't go off, man. I gotta ask you one thing, man, offline before you go, man.
All right, for sure.
Okay, but before we let you go off the live of the air, tell everybody about the bigs and everything that Herb Howard is doing within his community and professionally.
Yeah, no, shout out to the bigs, man. Great coverage of all the Chicago sports teams. Everybody does a great job on their individual beats, the Cubs, the Sox, the Bulls, the Sky. So shout out to the whole entire family at the Bigs, and make sure y'all following the whole team at It's the Bigs on Twitter. Stay up to date with what everybody's got going on. You can find my stuff there as well. You can follow me at Herb Howard 411. But outside of that, man, I'm just trying to do my role to be just do my role in the community and be a positive impact. Man, I got a podcast. It's called Herb and Two. Shout out to my co-host Tucson Werner. And it's not sports related at all. It's about Black liberation. It's an unapologetically masculine perspective on issues that currently impact the Black community. We do that podcast, and we do a lot of work out in the streets with it. So that's all I'm about, man. Just uplifting people, finding things that I think are worthwhile and supporting them as best I can. Shout out to things like the Sandwich Ministry. My sister Emerald Green, who's a world-renowned spoken word artist, does that on 79th Street, just giving out free lunch to kids all summer long. So people just doing great work all around the city, and I'm honored to know them, and anything I can do to support them, I'm gonna do that. So using my platform, using my time, whatever resources I can get my hands on, just to just do my part, man. I think that we are the solution to everything that ails us, and once we all understand that and unite and for those common causes, we'll be a little bit better served. So shout out to everybody that's doing great work. Shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate the invitation. I appreciate the work that y'all doing here. Y'all are all, obviously well-educated football people. It's good to talk high-level football with people. Being, a Bears beat reporter, you talk football with a lot of people. They want to talk football with you. Oh, you're a Bears beat reporter. So, but it don't always be high-level football talk. It just be like whatever kind of stuff. I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to talk about that. But y'all know the game very, very well, and so y'all fans, y'all followers, they know the game very, very well. Ask great questions and make great comments. They push back on things, they challenge things. So it's always a good time to chop it up with y'all, man. I love what y'all building here, man. So salute to y'all, and thanks again for the invite.
Herb, one last question from me. Me and Nomad got a bet. Do you know who this is?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who he is, man.
You don't know him?
Ain't nobody here 80, man. Ain't nobody.
I don't know who that is, man.
Man, you said being 80. Something wrong with being 80. What you shooting for? Early death?
Listen, all I know is it said Bears wide receiver, and that list is not impressive. We talking Harlan Hill. We talk like it's just not.
You know what, Herb? Let me tell you, Cecil Turner is the third greatest return man in the Bears history. Still the co-holder of most kickoff returns, touchdowns in one season. Look it up. 1970, baby.
Man,
Respect to Cecil Turner.
All right.
Up until recently, when I heard Bears wide receiver, I'm thinking Tom Waddle, and that is what it is.
Dick Gordon. Anybody know who Dick Gordon is?
Into that comment. Say what now?
Dick Gordon. Dick Gordon held the record for most receptions in the season for years.
Herb, ignore these cats, man. Chris,
hey, listen.
Chris, the only cat I
Chris
know.
Been schooling us, man.
Yeah, he think everybody drove a drop top Broham. Man.
Cecil Turner.
Cecil, man.
Hey,
look up Cecil, man.
Salute to you. I'm always here for the history, but I only go back as far as like Willie Gault, man. Before that,
man, Willie Gault, Tommy Waddle, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, I go back a little further. Jack Kincannon was my first quarterback. Check him out.
All right, man. Hey, that was love.
That
man.
sound real leather helmetish.
One of these days, we're gonna meet, man. Hey, Herb, it's nothing but love, man. Nothing but love, man. I appreciate
yes,
you.
sir. It's good.
I mean, man. And on behalf of the Nomad Network and Nomad Live, man, I appreciate you guys for being here, man. You guys were strong in this chat, showed us how much you appreciate us, but more importantly, you showed Herb how much you appreciate him. And that's the love I like. They let you know, man. So just know you ain't doing it for nothing, Herb. So just know that ahead of time, man. Love you, man.
Yes,
appreciate all you guys, man. On behalf of the Nomad Network and Nomad Live, I want to thank you guys and say this to you. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Peace. Salute.